Hi friends, Valessa here from A Light Refurbish. For this week's makeover, I'm actually using a product that's new to me and I never thought I would use. A metallic paint is not something that you would use to paint any piece of furniture in your home. I know what you're thinking, but I might just be able to change your mind with today's makeover, so make sure to watch until the very end. I found this pair of nightstands a while back while thrifting. Months later, I received a call from my neighbor. She was looking for a set of nightstands, and she actually sent me an inspiration pic of what she wanted. So I want to share it with you here for reference. So that's the look that we're going for. It is a beautiful pearl white color. So after doing some research, I found how important it is that you apply several coats of primer. And I'll talk to you about the details in a minute. But for now, I need to make sure that I clean the nightstands, scuff sand them, and make repairs. On the outside, it doesn't look like they need a lot of repairs, but actually every other drawer needs some kind of fixing. So as I'm cleaning and sanding, I'm assessing my piece and seeing what kind of materials I need to make all the repairs. You can tell that the surface of these nightstands is pretty beat up and has lots of scratches, but it also has that very shiny finish, which I need to make sure I get rid of so that my paint will adhere properly. I think it's very important that I mention that although there are a lot of paint companies, paint brands out there that are a one-step paint, this one is definitely not that. In the surface preparation instructions, clearly states that you cannot apply the paint over sleek or glossy surfaces, and it tells you how important it is that you prime. For all the curvy and rounded edges on the bottom base of the nightstands and the drawers, I'm using my Surfprep sanding system and using a medium grit bendable abrasive. You know, when you sand and you wash things, you move them around. I discovered that one of the slides was split it in half, so we'll glue that. Somebody attempted to fix this dovetail joint by nailing it, but sometimes that just makes it worse. We're gonna have to fix that. And then this other drawer that the slide just completely came off. We'll get to all those repairs once I'm done sanding everything. And you guys know that something that I like to do before I wash my pieces, I like to vacuum as much of that dust off. That way, when I'm cleaning, I don't have to change the dirty water as often. In preparation to priming, I'm wiping off and cleaning my piece with a TSP substitute. I have added the links to all the products that I use under the video description. And if you like today's content and you would like to support this channel, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. Now that my pieces are clean, I'm gonna start filling up the old hardware holes because we're gonna be adding some new hardware and the sizing is different. You've been here before, you know that I use Probond wood filler all the time to do this. We also found a chunk of wood that had broken off from one of the drawer edges, and we're just using Tybone to glue that back on. For the joint that's broken, we're using the same glue, but first we're removing the nails. The reason why you don't want to use nails to fix something like this is because many times the nail can split up the wood and it just makes it worse. We got lucky with this one. The nail didn't really help, still came apart. So glue is always the best way to go. Do you remember how a couple of the drawer slides came off? Well, it was because the glue had dried and had become crusty. So we removed as much of it as we could and then apply some fresh glue to put the drawer slides back together. Finally, all the drawers are fixed, and I'm just gonna smooth the wood filler that I apply into my hardware hole, get that clean, and start priming these babies. If you decide to brush your primer in your paint, you obviously can skip this step here. I like to cover the inside of the drawers from any overspray since I am going to be spraying both primer and the paint. Today I'm using a primer that has never failed me, and that is this Bean Shellac Base White Primer. This primer is going to block any stains or any bleed through that might want to filter through my new finish. Many times it is common that after your first couple of coats you get some bleed through, especially with whatever red varnish they use on this piece. And in a minute, in case you're curious, I'm going to show you what bleed through looks like, because the tops of these nightstands have lots of it. And here, my friends, is one of the many reasons why we prime. You see all the brown reddish spots. We call it bleed through. Obviously, I'm gonna do a few more coats, and the one thing about using this paint, because it's a paint that reflects the light more, it has metal in it, it's more translucent, you need to make sure that your base, your primer, has a full coverage on your piece. You can also achieve this by applying a couple of coats of regular paint that's very similar to the metallic color. That is after you have primed, if I haven't said that enough. Once again, your base needs to be monochromatic before applying your metallic color. After priming, I filled up some gaps right here in the base that were just too distracting, and I knew that the metallic was gonna make them stick out even more, so I just wanted to get rid of them. So today we're gonna be using this metallic paint from Modern Masters in the color Pearl White in the satin finish. The first thing that I want to say, consistency, very, very thick. Obviously it has metal in it, so it makes it heavier and thicker than normal regular paint. That's the reason why after I poured it into the filter, it wouldn't go anywhere. So 10 minutes later I came back, poured some water over it, mixed it, and finally started going through the filter. And even though this paint is thick, the coverage is less, which means that you're gonna need to apply more coats of paint than you're used to. In this case, I ended up applying a total of 6 coats. The metallic paint is also more pricey than your regular mineral, ceramic, or chalk paint. And surprisingly, it wasn't as easy to find. Even though the hardware stores show that they carried it in the stores, after going through each one, and I went to like 5 of them, I was disappointed every time after finding out it was an online item only. If you ever plan on using metallic paint for your furniture project, just make sure to plan ahead. As far as how well it's sprayed, I had to fight every urge to brush it after spraying it, because to me it looked like it was gonna have some texture, but since it was my first time, I decided let's just wait it out. It has paid in the past to wait and see how well it self-levels. I did sand after the 3rd coat and decided to add about 30% of polyurethane to 70% of the paint to spray the last 2 coats before applying just polyurethane. This really helped minimize the texture that I was getting, and it felt really smooth after I was done with the 6th coat. For brushing this paint, use a high quality brush that's recommended for water-based latex paints. While some furniture refinishers highly discourage that you use a roller to apply this paint, the product label recommends that you use metallic paint extender, and they also tell you what roller to use, which is a 4-inch sausage roller with a half nap for cutting in corners. It is top coat day and I'm using this polyurethane water base from Barathane. I'm applying a total of 3 coats. Hint hint, if you ever ask somebody to paint something with metallic paint, keep in mind that it's more time consuming and the supplies are more expensive. Today all we get to do is to add the hardware that my customer / neighbor chose and show you this video with the final results. What do you guys think of this makeover? Let me know in the comments. Would you dare to paint anything with metallic paint for your home? Yes or no?
Thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope that you guys enjoyed this week's makeover. Please give me a like if you enjoyed today's content. Don't forget that just like there's hope for these pieces of furniture, it doesn't matter how tough things get, there's always hope for you. I will see you guys next week.